Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to day 8 of the ERP Cloud Implementation Bootcamp review session. So today we'll continue with the setup of our rapid implementation, and then we'll look at what we've loaded yesterday, just to have a very quick look at what's been loaded. And then we'll then go straight into the rest of the what I call the tidy up setup. So we'll get through that, and then we'll then take some questions and have a look and see what else we've got for the day in terms of the exercise and so on. So I'm going to go straight into the application and just to give you a quick overview of what we loaded yesterday. Setup and maintenance. Hopefully the environment should be a lot quicker today. That's hopefully. So I'm going into financials from setup and maintenance. And let's first of all have a look at the structure that we loaded. So I did check through what was loaded yesterday, and it seems okay. So let's first of all have a look at the financial structure. Let's start with financial structures, and then I'll come back to legal structure. So in the financial structures, financial reporting structure, let's go to our chart of account structures. And let's search. So here you'll be able to find the structure of Acme ledger that we loaded yesterday. So that's the structure of our chart of accounts that we loaded yesterday. And you can very quickly have a look at some of the core elements. So that's the prompt, that's the segment label. So it's attached a primary balancing segment because it's identified as the primary balancing segment. Use segment 1, column width, and so on. So that's the first part. Now let's have a look at the structure instances that is created. And so with the structure instance, again, from our setup, it's a one-to-one mapping, one structure instance. And let's go to the details. So that tells us that it's enabled, dynamic combination allowed. So what that will do is that it will automatically create some account combination. So first I'm going to go into the edit mode just to have a look at some of the core parts of the setup, just for you to see. So you can see that it's company is required, is displayed. If you wanted to, you could give it a constant value so that anytime you enter the data, you don't have to enter that data many times. So I'm just going to make it 1001. So that's a constant value for my company segment. Line of business, I can decide that I want to, again, have a constant value for my line of business. Let's still a little bit slow. You can see wow. It could actually be my streaming. So let me switch off my camera and see if that helps. Okay. Default type constant. Line of business 10. Let's see what happens. Okay, account, we'll leave that. Cost center, we'll leave that as is. Intercompany, let's use default value. Constant. And then 1001. And then let's put a default value in for this spare segment. Our spare segment is 5 characters. So let's again, let's give it a constant value of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 characters in that segment. So next thing that you can also look at is the value set code, and you can actually look at the details of the values. So this will populate the values that you have in the structure in the Excel spreadsheet that we looked at yesterday. So you can see that that's automatically populated by the rapid implementation spreadsheet. So you've got all of this. And that's the same for all the different segments. So let's save and close. It may require us to redeploy. So because we've made some changes, so I'm just going to click on deploy flexfield. So that will redeploy that flexfield. Now, whilst that's going on, some of the other things that we are going to look at is the we're going to look at some of the legal entities. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the legal entities, look at the legal jurisdictions. So let me just create a duplicate of this tab. And I'm going to go into setup and maintenance. So it's a lot quicker than this earlier on today when I went in, so I'm not sure why it's slow. So let's go into financials. And let's go to the legal structures. So in the legal structures, there, sure what happened. Okay, let's go back to financials, legal structures, and all task. So I'm just going to check a few things just for us to see some of the stuff that is done. Manage legal entity. So our legal entity should have been generated. So select and add, apply and go to task. And you can see that our legal entity was created yesterday. Save and close. And then that will allow us to select some of the details. So here we can see some of the details of the legal entity that was actually created. So the rapid implementation spreadsheet has actually created all of this for us. Identify this as the payroll statutory unit and also the legal employer. So just showing you some of the things that the rapid implementation spreadsheet has done. Other things is like your legal reporting unit. So you can also have a quick look at that. Now, before you can start to create employees and so on, then you need to manage your legal entity HCM information. So let's go to all task. Again, this is a very important step. Legal entity HCM information. So again, ensure that you're in the right scope. So for your company. So here we're going to make a few changes. One of the changes we're going to make is we're going to specify a payroll statutory unit, PSU. Normally, this will be done by the HCM implementation is required. So I'm going to use a correct correct is to correct the information that already exists. So for this, it should actually assign this to the US legislative data. So these are the additional steps that you need to perform. Let's see if sometimes when you press part of the character and tab, it should automatically complete, but not in this case. So I'm going to do a search for US any, or if you click on advanced and you specify to start with US, starts with US, do a search, and then you will see your US legislative data group. Again, required for HCM for the payroll. So I'm just going to say that starts with at 1st of the 1st 01, same date as the effective start date. Legal employer, let's make some changes to the legal employer. Again, required for HCM. Employment mode. Employment modal, it will be, again, two-tier multi, so you can select any of this. But normally, without going into details of HCM, it will be the type of employment that you want the people that you employ within the organization to have. So normally you get that information from HCM. They would normally set this up as well. So let's submit. And that should be enough for us to start creating ourselves as users within this entity. So let's have a quick look at our setup. So what's happened here? This should have completed. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So normally you should get a green tick for you to know that it's deployed successfully. So let's click on done. Now, other things that we can review as a calendar. So going back to our financial reporting structures. So you can have a look at the, no, that doesn't look right. Let's go to, select financials. Okay. And financial reporting structures. Yeah, that looks better. And I want to look at my accounting calendars. So this is the standard accounting calendar. So it's created one for our Acme ledger. So that's, again, the rapid implementation spreadsheet has actually created this for us. Current calendar based upon what we've selected. So that's fine. Again, rapid implementation has done this automatically. Other things that you can check. I'm not sure why it's going back to this. This is let's go back to financial structures. Okay. So you've got your, actually, there's one other thing I need to show you. Yesterday, we used the chart of accounts configurations to load. You can also check your setup from here as well. So if I select my Acme ledger, I should be able to see some of those setups. So here you can see your segment labels. You can see your structure. You can see the default hierarchy parent. You can also manage your values from here as well. You can also view the hierarchies from here as well. So again, you can use this to view your setup from here. Again, just for, I'll mention that. So let's check the currency is another thing that you need for your chart of accounts. Manage currencies. So by default, you should have all the ISO currencies. It should be there. And in your implementation, you could ask which currencies they need to enable. So here, by default, all the currencies are enabled. So that's fine. Or maybe different for your particular company. Let's have a look at a few more things. So let's have a look at the ledger. So I'm going to go into my general ledger, very quickly look at the ledger options. Again, select the scope. So if we go to scope and you select primary ledger, select and add, and then apply and go to task. Not sure why Oracle created this screen that way, but that's how it's been done. So here you can select the ledger. So your primary ledger is it'll be your 4-letter name, ledger, and then the country. So that's again what rapid implementation will do. So example, this is an example of something that rapid implementation did as well. So you can select save and close. Oops. Not sure why the screens are going really back to financials. Ledger. Select my scope again. Select and add, apply and go to task. Me, US. So let's save and close. And that's how you would select your scope. And then it brings back the ledger. So this is the ledger. Ledger options, that's the name of the ledger. So I'm just going to call it same name. Currencies, US dollars, based upon the country. Chart of accounts, my Acme. That's my calendar. Acme calendar is saying that my first open period is January 2022. Number of open periods, I'm going to enter 2 because I want the next 2 periods to be open. Accounting method, again, when we come to look at SLAM, Subledger accounting methods, we'll be able to create as, so that's accounting methods, standard accrual that it uses by default. So the journal language is American English, and this is the default account that has been set up. If you remember on that spreadsheet, I was saying that there were some values that needed to be used automatically for the setup. So if I can open up that spreadsheet, I should be able to show you some of these values. Let's see if I can do that very quickly. Just a moment. So the spreadsheet should be open soon. So so this is the spreadsheet. So the data in your natural accounts So what's happened is that the data that is used for the account setup, retained earnings, for example, 312201 is picked up from the structure that you have here. So you have your owner's equity 312201. So remember, I was saying that you can specify some additional attributes that would be used by rapid implementation to automatically generate the accounting. So because we've selected this as owner's equity retained earnings, it's going to use this 312201 to generate this account. So I haven't got one for cumulative adjustment, but again, if I wanted to use that, I could then put in a value for cumulative adjustments here as well. So I'm going to use a value. Let's just this is actually a list of value, and I can specify my values from here. For some reason it's not opening. Okay, so that's my cumulative translation adjustment account 624125. 624 125. It's an expense, but there's no default cumulative adjustment subtype for expenses. Otherwise, I could have used that in here. But then you would always go, you have to go in and enter the value here. So there are some additional pieces of setup that you need to do. It's really, really slow. This. Other things that you can specify are things like, default rate, period end rate type, average rate. These are mainly used for translation. Again, you can specify what these default values will be. Period end rates. Again, average rate for your translations. Again, the business will give you all of this during the questionnaire, so you can put them all in here. Again, some of these questions are also in the questionnaire, like do you track revaluation gain or loss by multiple segments? Prevent. Again, these are controls. You can prevent GL period closure when open subledger periods exist. These are mainly controls. Enable sequences, enable subledger accounting. So these are, again, some of the other bits. Again, if you're using suspense account, you can specify your default suspense account. Let's just use one of these. So you can see that it's defaulted some of these accounts because we've put this in as a default account. So accounts, I'm going to use 624 624 1 2 2 624 1 2 2. Cost center 1 2 3 4. It's done. And then click on cost center. So again, default accounts you can enter, enable reconciliation, end of period. These are other things, enable intercompany. Let's uncheck this auto reverse. separate journals by accounting period, accounting date during journal import. So again, if you want separate journals based on accounting date during your journal import, you can specify that by selecting enabling this. You've got other options, enable journal approval, and so on. So you've got all these other ones there. Average balances, sequencing, and so on. So these are all the core ledger options. You would generally ask the business these details when you're taking them through your workshops. Let's save and close. So what I want to do now is let's actually create myself as a new user, as an employee. At the moment, this user is not an employee. So if I go to, this is my user set up man. And if I go to the tools, security console, and if I look at my user details, my user is not linked to any organization. It's just an implementation user at the moment. So what I want to do is I just want to convert this user into a user for my BU. So at the moment, it's just got roles attached to it. There's no link to any organization. So if I click on done, and I'm going to do that. Let's look at this guy called Setrees. Let's see whether this person is linked to an organization. So you can see that party name, actually it's not even giving us a bit more details, but you can see there's more roles here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert my user into an implementation, sorry, proper user, an employee. There's a few ways of doing that, but I'm going to use the FSM, just this is actually called the FSM, security setup and maintenance area. So I'm going to go back to financials, select my users and security, and I'm going to select manage users. So here I'm going to create a user, and I'm going to assign my user, which is I'm going to create an employee and assign my user to the employee. So let's create that now. So last name is Upman, set email address, set.man@gmail.com. I'm going to make the hire date 1/1/23, and then I'm going to link the user account that I've created. This should be enabled to allow me to link my user account. So now when you get to this point, always click on this search. Otherwise, you could discover that if you press enter or tab, it may not bring up the user. So that's the user. And I'm going to just attach the user. So if you just bear with me a moment, got someone at the door again. Just give me a few seconds. So you've got the name, email, link the user account, and then you have the option to send the username and password. And then the person type is going to be employee. And then you then need to then specify a few other information. Who's the legal employer? Remember that we've just created our employer, which is Acme. Acme Inc. Yeah. So then the business unit that this employee will be working in is Acme US business unit. You can specify a job. Let's say the person is a system. Oops. Normally job and grades will be created by the HCM. So and you can use them also for the approvals. So let's have a look. Job, grade, I'll leave them. You can specify department, location, but then you need a manager for approvals. So I'm going to select Anita Kennedy. Anita Kennedy. And that's the main thing. So let's just save and close. So by doing this, Set Upman is now an employee of Acme Inc. and also has access to the Acme US business unit from an HR perspective. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some roles to this user, some GL roles. And I then want to be able to get to the point where I want to open my period. So that's basically what I want to get to, at least for today. And if possible, just enter a GL journal. That's if possible to get to that point. So it's creating the user, the employee user. Now, if you have a lot of users, there are loaders that you can use to load users and the employee information, you know, where they belong to and all that. So there are loaders that you can use to load that. So I'm going to click on done. And I am now going to add some roles to my user. So let's go back to the security console. I'm not sure why this is really slow today. Not sure why. It was a lot quicker earlier on. Maybe because the US are open, so I'll blame the US on this one. More users using the system. So let's have a look at our user. And now I should have more information, including a user number. So you can see that I now have more information. I have a person number. I have manager, job, business unit, and so on attached to my user. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add another role. I'm going to add two roles. I'm going to add a general accountant, for my GL. And I'm going to add general accounting manager. It's just 2 GL roles for my user. Okay, not this one. Accounting. GL accounting manager. That's the one I want. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my role and then give this person some privileges to do certain things. So actually this role will have those privileges, but then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to include some of the things that this person will be able to do. Data access, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it data access to certain areas. And to do that, I'm going to go back into setup and maintenance. Now, there are a number of ways in which you can do this. Again, there's an ADFDI loader that can be used to automatically load a lot of data access to help you to manage user access. So in terms of data. So I'm going to go to users and security and just going to select all tasks. And manage data access for users is what I'm going to select. Manage data access, and I'm going to search for my user. User set. Set the opman. And then you can see the roles. So for my general accountant, I'm going to specify a security context, which is my ledger. And I want this person to have access to my Acme ledger. Data access set. Okay, let's do a search for Acme US. And then I'm going to add another set the opman. So there is also a spreadsheet that you can use to load this as well, which is found also on the same page. So let's have a look at the role. The role that I want to use is accounting manager and data access set. Let's go for my. So this gives this user access to data within this ledger to manage. So let's save and close. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open my first period and see if we can create a journal. So let's go back to my general ledger and open our first period. So open first period, my Acme ledger. It's telling me that I haven't got access to the data access set. So what I'm going to do, let me log out and log back in again. There also, you may need to run some LDAP processes to give you access. but let's just see if this works now so that I wouldn't have to run that. Let's just have a look. Yeah, I may need to run my send pending LDAP requests on synchronized person records, but let's just have a look first to see if it would allow me to do that without running my LDAP. So that should actually run on a regular basis, but sometimes you may need to kick off that process manually. Users and security, and then I'm going to select all tasks and data access. Oh, actually, I've done that. Just thinking. Actually, what I wanted to do is check, yeah. Users with data access, let me just check for my username set. Set the upman. Let's have a look at what it's got access to. So that's fine, okay. Okay, so it's got the data access. So let's go back and see if we can. You can see there's some notifications coming through because the person is now an employee. There are some automated tasks that the person needs to perform as an employee. Let's go back to. Lots of stuff going on in the background. And let's try to open our period again. Set up a maintenance. Open the first period. And try to see if we can create a journal. General ledger. Open first period. There you go. So I've got my data access set. Counting period Jan 22. Remember that you cannot go back when you open the first period. It's one of the irreversible points. So you've got to make sure that the first period you open, depending on your data migration, will probably be a year, 6 months, depending on how much data you want to migrate in the past. So you have to think about that as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into general ledger, general accounting, journals. I'm just doing a very quick test to see if I can create a journal. So basically we've set up GL in less than a few hours. So create journal. Should be able to start to transaction. So just make sure that you've got your data set. So there you go. I've got my period. 31st of Jan 22. I'm just going to select my category. Again, you have a lot of default categories already set up. So let's go into my account, my debit. Let's debit cash. Cost center. Again, I haven't done any cross-validation, nothing at all. So right now I'm just doing some basic tests. 1,000 and maybe do something like a miscellaneous transaction. Account. Search for search. I'm just going to search miscellaneous expenses. Cost center. Actually, I kind of like the sound of that miscellaneous adjustment. So let me go for that one. Miss any. Yeah, I like that. So cost center again, let's put that all the zeros. Yes, that sounds like an owner's equity type account. So 1,000. So again, just testing my journal and save it. I can complete it or decide that I just want to post it from here. So might as well just post it. There you go. Run my first current program or ESS job to post my journal. So let's go back to my manage journals and then just check for my journals that I've created for January 22. There you go. That's my journal adjustment posted. So any questions before I take you through what you really need to do today? Any questions, anyone?
Yes, hi there, EME. With the journal batch, when you created it, it had a journal batch number.
Yeah.
So is there somewhere in the system where you say batches start with this number, or does the system automatically allocate that number to it?
Yeah, the system will automatically allocate the numbers, yeah, to it, but you can, if you want, determine, have a naming convention. If you have your journals coming in from an external source, you can put rules in to change these values and so on. But yeah, but it would generally just stamp it with in this format manual, give it a
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So that's system generated.
System generated.
The other question I've got is and this might be a stupid question, the balancing segment that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Where I don't quite understand what a balancing segment is.
Oh, right. Okay. Is where your debits and credits needs to balance. So if you look at this at 1001, my debit has to balance and my credit, my journal has to balance based upon this BSV value. So this, this has to be the same. Otherwise, it would create something called an intercompany or intra-company journal. But again, if you're not creating intercompany balances, then this would always be 1001. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you report from balancing segments?
Yeah. So your core trial balance has to balance by the balancing segment, your profit and loss account, your balance sheet is all done by the balancing segment. So that's why your balancing segment values will generally be your legal entities from a design perspective. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for that.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Raymond, I think you have your hand up. This question from Bella in the chat as well. So Raymond, yeah.
Yes. Hi, Yemi.
Hi.
Yes. My question for you is in relation to, at the beginning when you were doing the setup, you did the deployment of the flexfield.
Yes. I deployed it. Yeah.
So what I'm trying to identify is that data, is that what's existing in the Oracle database, or is it from the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet, that the rapid setup? So is that where you can pull in the data from?
Yeah, so all the data that you now see in the setup were pulled in from the Excel spreadsheet when I loaded them into the system.
Into the system. Okay.
Yeah. In the old days, you'd have to do that manually in EBS. What we did today will probably take you a few days to do.
So it's not a case of the data is already existing in the repository somewhere on the database system, and then it then pulls it into this new setup.
No. It was everything is from the spreadsheet. Yeah.
From the spreadsheet. Okay.
Yeah. So you can always go back to the spreadsheet and you can see your Acme ledger created all these values that we have here. They're all in that spreadsheet. All the setup variables that is used, everything is from the spreadsheet here.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I do have some detailed videos on that. If you look at the videos for yesterday, I think I went a bit more depth on those, and again for the videos of today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. Bella is asking a question. Can we use the manage chart of accounts configuration page to upload ledgers? Do you mean the
ledgers, legal entity?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I used yesterday. Yeah, you can use that. Yeah.
Okay, so
functionality from there. Yeah.
Okay, so do we have to wait first upload the chart of accounts? There are two files.
Yes, you upload the chart of accounts first, and then you upload the second one, which is the structure. Yeah.
Okay, so do we have to wait till the chart of accounts completes?
Yeah, exactly. Make sure it completes. Check everything before you upload the second one.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. David.
Yeah. Hi, Yemi. I had some really good experiences when trying to upload the chart of account and the structure, the flex fields, because I think when I did the implementation document, I think for the ledger thing, the flex fields, I forgot to name them after my company. So when I went in, I thought, oh, it looks very kind of generic kind of thing. Yeah. So I had to do it twice, but it was a good exercise. Good exercise there.
But you were able to load it eventually.
I was able to load it. Yeah.
Okay. That's
not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing I wanted to ask was, when you've uploaded the chart of accounts and then the flex fields, the other structure, and then you go on to manage the legal reporting, the reporting unit.
Yes.
I got a bit stuck because when I've gone through the scope and everything, it still wasn't linking the scope to the legal entity. So I don't know if I was doing something wrong.
Okay, let's go back to setup and maintenance. While that's loading, okay, I was going to go into today's session. Okay. So basically, what you're saying is that when you go to your ledger and you're trying to load your scope,
the reporting unit, let me see.
Let me just see your scope first. Select and add. So what's your ledger name?
It's it's SAAS.
SAAS.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So this is your
yeah, so it'll be the US one.
So it's there.
But I think like that reporting unit thing. Those part of an exercise where you go to.
Okay, so you got all this. Yeah. Okay, so that's fine. So no, okay, no, that's I've actually picked up another one.
Yeah, it's the legal legal
legal structures.
Legal structures. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
manage legal, that one. Yeah,
reporting. So
yeah, that's the one.
Right. Okay. So this is going to look at the legal entity.
Okay.
So actually another way you can search for this very quickly. Let's just put SAAS.
Yeah, search.
So there you go. So you got it here.
Okay.
Save and close. So this is the bit that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Go reporting unit. This is it. There you go. So you got it there. Yeah.
Okay. But when you go to the searching bit, the scope bit, as you go to, you need to have that value in the scope next to the managing legal reporting unit. When, okay. Yeah.
After you finish, that's when you will have it in there. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. And one other thing I found was, when scheduling the processes, because initially when you go to scheduling processes, like the tools and schedule processes or other schedule processes, you have two different views. So there's like a flat view and then a hierarchical view. But I always kept in flat view, but then I checked out the hierarchical view, and it was very useful because normally when you run a process, it's got the main process and other sub processes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
but when you put it to the hierarchical, it just gives you the main process that you submitted.
yeah.
So you can easily find out whether
Find out the ones. Yeah.
So that was very helpful. I found that
Yeah. Play around with the system. There's a lot of things you'll discover, when you start to play around with it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. It's the product has actually improved a lot in the last few years, and it's still improving. Yeah. Bella, I think I see your hand up again. Yeah.
Yes. So when I was trying to create the employee user, I got this error message. I tried to add the legal entity, and my legal entity, I selected it, but it's giving me the message legislative data group or not part of it.
Right. So the reason for that is that you haven't done the legislative data group step. So there's one step that I said is very important.
Oh.
Yeah. So what you need to do is there's a step for the creating your legislative data group. So for HCM, manage HCM. So this is the one that you need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, so you need to complete that step. So if you go to the main course now, day 7. So you got practice. So this is the step. This step.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
The step you need to go through. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's go through this step. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we're actually slightly behind, because today we're meant to be actually looking at the payables stuff. So we're slightly behind, but we'll catch up on this very quickly. Tomorrow is Thursday, so by Thursday, Friday. So again, you can go through this, go through payables, go through. I mean, these are all the config workbooks. This is the rapid implementation spreadsheet. Now, what I've got here is what I call the cheat sheets, which helps you to very quickly implement using step by step in the spreadsheet. It's like a run book, and I would say that you can start to build your own run book as well. And let me just open up the spreadsheet and show you what it looks like. VP steps. So this is what it looks like. You have, so you can start to build up your own step by step. Step one, what you need to do, the roles you need to add, a few bits and pieces, the ledger options. So this was the step that you missed. So you can start to use this to build what you need to do. AP and AR setup, you know, this is the bits that you need to do today. So tomorrow, I'll look at some of the AP and AR setup, just take you through them because they're already there anyway. And then we'll start to look at some of the testing, unit testing of some of the stuff for tomorrow. Okay, any other?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah, sure. Go on, yeah.
So when I set on my calendar on the implementation sheet, I set it to 2021 instead of 2022.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Can I change it to 2022 in the? It's better to leave it as it is.
Well, it shouldn't really matter, but
Okay.
normally what should happen, let me just go into trying to open up like a Safari. What would happen is in your, so because you've opened your first period, haven't you? Have you opened?
I haven't yet. I haven't opened the
okay.
period yet, no.
So if you haven't, then you can still go into your Acme. No, sorry, yours will be your
SaaS.
SaaS, yeah. So this icon also is a search.
Oh, I was
Icon.
wondering what the search thing was. All right. Yeah.
Just slow. Scrolling, so again. Stock. Let's try this again. S. So if I go into your ledger options, so here you can change it. You change your first open period here.
Okay.
Yeah. And then just save and close here. So
All right. Okay. Thanks very much.
no problem.
So do we have to use the previous year, right? For ledger, like
Yeah,
fiscal year.
it's good practice to at least have a year because for reporting, yeah.
Okay, so the open period too would have to make sure like it's January 2022 for the first open period.
Yeah. So that's what I'm using. Yeah, January 2022. Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, so that means like we can post journals for past period, right?
Yeah. If you haven't closed the period,
February 2022.
yeah, you can post.
Okay, as long as it's open, not closed. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we close for today?
Very quick question. With the loading with the spreadsheet, can you use data load, or is that completely defunct?
No, you can't use data load. Oracle have got their own loaders, which is part of the product. Yeah. Well,
Right.
yes and no. Well, so data load,
Yeah.
you can use the web-based one, but there are better tools now for, I suppose you're looking at it more from a migration perspective. So Oracle has got lots of tools which are a lot better than data load.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you're using it, if you want to use it for automation, for testing, then there are other automation tools that you can use for testing as well with Fusion. So there's a lot of products out there that do automated testing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. If there's no other questions, then we close for today and see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.